All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're unpacking a framework that's built specifically for seasoned professionals like you, people who want to command premium compensation. We're talking about how to make sure your years of experience are seen as the massive strategic asset they are, not, well, not a liability. Okay, stop. Just stop. If you have ever, even once, used this exact phrase or something close to it in a salary negotiation, you need to listen up. It feels so logical, right? But what you're actually doing is setting off a huge alarm bell for age bias. The hiring manager hears expensive. They hear stuck in their ways, not incredibly valuable. It's a trap. And that trap, oh, it has a very real price tag. Using time served as your main argument can literally cost you $50,000 or more in your total compensation package. It's the one thing that separates you from being seen as a cost center versus a strategic investment that pays off from day one. So how does this even happen? You see, the whole game of salary negotiation totally changes after 40, but so many of us keep playing by the old rules, and we fall right into four critical and super costly mistakes. Let's break them down. First, there's negotiating from a place of desperation. You're just so glad to get an offer, you take whatever they give you. Big mistake. Second is the one we just talked about, justifying your ask with how long you've been around. Look, companies don't pay for time served, they pay for the impact you can deliver. Third, and this is a huge one, is focusing only on the base salary, which means you're ignoring like half of your potential earnings. And finally, just plain bad research, relying on old data or looking at the wrong benchmarks. So how do we fix all this? Simple. We have to stop thinking like an employee and start negotiating like an executive. And for that, you need the executive playbook. It's called the impact method, and it's designed to completely reframe your value around strategic results and, making the company money. The impact method is your new game plan, and it's built on 6 pillars. You start with the hard facts, intelligence, and knowing your market position. Then you prove your worth with your past performance and the added value you bring. And finally, you seal the deal by defining your competitive edge and controlling the timeline of the negotiation. It's a system. And here's where the rubber meets the road. This is the language shift you have to make. So instead of, given my years of experience, you say, my expertise delivers immediate ROI. Instead of saying, I've been doing this for decades, you say, I reduce execution risk significantly. You see the difference? This isn't just playing with words. It's a fundamental change in how you present your value. This brings us to the place where so much money is just left on the table. Seriously, if you're only negotiating your base salary, you are only fighting for about half of what you could be making. It's time to think bigger and design your total compensation package. Just look at a typical executive pay structure. That base salary you're so focused on, it's often just half the pie. The other half is made up of your annual bonus, equity, and all the benefits. Negotiating like a pro means you're talking about the entire structure, not just one number. So, what should you actually be asking for? Well, for your base, you should be targeting the 75th to 90th percentile for the role, no less. Then you're looking for a bonus that's 20 to 40% of your total comp. Equity, another 15 to 30%. And don't forget the senior level perks, things like executive coaching or financial advisory services. Here it is. This is the exact phrase you need to use to pivot the conversation. When they give you that first offer, you say this. It immediately takes the talk from a back-and-forth haggle to a high-level strategic conversation about mutual success. And speaking of long-term success, a great package isn't just about what you gain, it's also about what you're protected from. Which brings me to the one thing almost everyone over 40 forgets to negotiate, and it might be the most important. Let's talk about severance. And let's be clear, this isn't you being paranoid or showing distrust. This is standard top-level risk management. It's what executives do. A really solid severance package is your financial safety net. You should be negotiating for a good 12 to 18 months of salary, your prorated bonus, continued healthcare, and this is a big one, accelerated vesting for your equity. It's all about protecting your downside. Okay, now let's get into the advanced stuff. You need to include 2 critical protections. First is a change in control provision. That protects you if the company gets bought or merges. The second is a role-diminishment clause. This basically says if they gut your job or change it completely, you can leave with your full severance package. These are game changers. And how do you bring it up without sounding weird? You use this. This language frames severance not as an exit strategy, but as part of the deal that shows how serious both sides are. It's professional, it's standard at this level, and it shows you belong there. Phew, okay, we've gone through the entire playbook. Now let's turn all this information into a super simple 5-step action plan that you can literally start working on today. Step 1, get your data. Gather market intelligence from at least 3 different high-quality sources. Step 2, prepare your impact case. Literally write it down and practice saying it out loud. Step 3, design your perfect total comp package. Know what you want and where you're willing to bend. Step 4, draft your severance terms. Make sure you include those 2 critical protections we talked about. And step 5, and this is probably the most important one, practice. Role-play the whole conversation until it feels totally natural.
So I'll just leave you with this one last question to think about. Your negotiation doesn't start when you get the offer. It starts way before that. It starts with your resume. So is your resume actually positioning you for this kind of executive level pay, or is it accidentally reinforcing age bias by just listing years of experience instead of strategic impact? It's worth checking out how Pass the Scans AI can actually analyze your resume for exactly these kinds of language patterns. It can help you make sure you're framing your incredible experience as the strategic investment it truly is.